the liquidity inducement theorem basics. So finally, we're almost there. Okay, so, but before we take action, we need to understand what the rest of the world is doing, but who is the rest of the world? Again, now we understand that they actually deliver price, that they use money and emotions against you, that again, like the rest of the world is included as well, that they don't want to hunt you down. No, 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 of course not. They're targeting the overall strategy. But first, we need to understand like what are these overall strategies are in order to identify them. So who is the rest of the world? And we simply will call them the retailers. Clear and simple. What is the retailers? And that's the entities you trade with and also trade against. Because again, it's very obvious, for example, in stock markets and whatsoever, if you try to sell a stock, someone needs to buy it. In Forex, it's a little bit more difficult because like there's multiple parties involved. It's not directly like that, but of course, everything is the same thing. If you buy, someone else usually takes the sell and stuff like that. So again, the whole retailers, it's a buying and selling game. It's always in some sort of balance. And that's why you have to understand that the entities you trade with and trade against are the so-called retailers. So let's dig into that. What is going on here? So you see this fish tank, whatever you want to call it, goldfish glass, whatever, right? So what is going on in here? And you see there's a liquid in it or like water. And we will from now on, will call this in here the liquidity, right? So now we're digging actually into the liquidity from inducement theorem. So what is this liquidity and who is in this whole fish tank to create this so-called liquidity, right? So let's take a look deeper and let's let the water drop in here and see, oh, out of a sudden, we have 20,000 banks in this fish tank. So what is going on here? So that's 20,000 banks in the world that actually has to do with the financial or the Forex exchange market. So what do they think? What do you think they do? They don't sit in their buildings and just do nothing. They always need to exchange the money as well in order to make money. They're working all of this exchanging rates and stuff like that. And what do they do? Of course, they have to analyze the markets in some way as well. And guess what they're doing? Do you think like they have all a magic crystal ball and all like inside information whatsoever? No. Like I know a lot of personal bank people, and what do? They use all the normal stuff. They use normal technicals and normal fundamentals. That's all the stuff they're doing in order to analyze the markets for themselves as well. And that is 25,000 banks. And that's not like bank buildings or whatsoever. That's literally banks. Like whatever, if you call it Goldman Sachs is one bank, whatever. Any bank, like you can call it, that goes into this 25,000 bank. And that's all over the world. That's a shit lot of liquidity just by these banks alone. And guess what? They have the same reasons than you do. They look at the same news feeds. They look at the same chart data. They look at the same price feeds. It's all the same for them. And they have the same reasons as most people to analyze the charts as well. So that's why they're coming into the liquidity pool as well. Okay, so what else though? If we just add a little bit more liquidity to the whole thing, out of a sudden, it's 32,000 private banks, even more. So now we have like the big institutional banks, but now all of a sudden we have 32,000 private banks. So you think about your local banks and whatsoever, all around the world, that's so many new banks that are involved in the whole liquidity tank as well. And guess what they're doing? They're doing the same exact thing. They need to work with the money at some point. That's obviously the money industry. They need to obviously put the money into the foreign exchange as well and has the same reasons, the same tools as you do. What else does go into the fish tank? We have hedge funds. We have market makers. Like there's so many hedge funds all around the world right? That obviously trade, they obviously work in these markets, like really big capital, even like smaller capital. Doesn't matter what type of size hedge funds, they go all in there. They're all doing the same stuff. And we add on a little more on that. We have like prop firms, which becomes a new hype nowadays. Like that's a whole topic by itself though, but that becomes so popular. We will dig into a little bit later if you want. Then we have so many private offices, like all these institutions, whatever, private companies. We have what else? We add some more. We have all these companies. We have even all the educational courses, even like whole countries, even like whole governments. They all go in this whole liquidity pool, which are all doing the same thing. Again, it's all fundamentals for them. It's all technicals. Maybe some have like AIs, maybe have some whatever expert advisors, all this nonsense, like maybe tools, but it all goes together with the same type of rule set scenario, the same understanding of the market, and that all forms the liquidity. So guess where you come into play? This little drop in here, right? So that's all the retailers, individuals like us, like the normal AKA people, which open like a whatever trading account with like a broker, and then whatever, open up a 100 lots or whatsoever, you let this little drop in here. So what do you think? Do you think they will hunt you down and go after your stop, and let's call it the stop hunt or shit like that? Of course not. They don't give a shit about you 100 lots or something. They don't really care. And that's why we need to understand that it's not about the individual. It's about the whole fish tank in general, and they need to target the overall liquidity and target these overall strategies, right? So if they target all this retailer, let's call it technical analysis, automatically they're targeting all these fish tanks plus this little drop in here. So they don't need to hunt you down or whatsoever. No, they just target the whole overall strategies, also fundamentals. Now all of a sudden, they control the whole fish tank. Understand that? Very, very important, right? So again, it's not a personal thing. If you get stopped out or whatsoever, you cannot blame whatever. Oh, that's a stopper and the broker took me out. They don't care about that. They target the overall strategies, and that's how they target, obviously, you indirectly. But they will never target you directly and say, like, oh my God, like Daniel opened like a 10 lot trade. Let me stop him out. No. They target the overall strategies. They know exactly where the stop placements are. Of course, with the all liquidity aspects, they have all the data, they have all the reasons, they have all the strategies. They know exactly the key levels. That's, of course, where they target it. Okay, and that's how it works. So you're not being targeted. They target the overall strategies.